All right, guys, time to recap undeniably the most exciting series of the second round in the playoffs. Montreal versus Buffalo. Elimination game, game 7, baby. Let's start to unpack it. All right, so game starts off first period, 1-0 Montreal at 4:30 by Philip Deno, assisted by uh, Goulet and Texier. I probably butchered those last names. Not a big Montreal guy, but nonetheless, Philip Deneau puts him up on the board with a nice little redirect in front of the net. Again, 4 minutes 30 seconds into the first period. Very, very nice. Very nice. I would like to add, however, that this play doesn't happen without Anderson being so strong along the boards, right? Winning that puck battle, and that's how you win in the playoffs, guys. That's how it's done. I would also add that there was a little bit of luck involved with this first goal. It did bounce right off Deno's skate. Luckily, you know, luckily he was in. But here's the thing: I can't say luckily because you create your own luck, right? He was in the right position for this to happen. Again, that's how winning is done. A little bit later in the period, Quinn gets almost a clean breakaway from inside the Montreal zone, but cannot tuck it in. It was an exciting little moment, though. Nice little save, though. Nice little save. Man, both teams just buzzing in the first, in my opinion. There was also ups and peaks and valleys, ups and downs, but man, there was some flurries and some good saves in this first period, in my opinion. Of course, Buffalo takes a delay of game penalty on a flurry in front of their net, puck over the glass, and of course, right at the end of the power play, Montreal gets it in. Another one, Zachary Bulu, power play goal assisted by Nick Suzuki and Hudson at the 14-minute and 29-second mark. Like the second the power play was coming to an end. About 4.5 minutes left. Montreal with a breakaway, man. Oof, this one had you on the edge of your seat. Alex, I'll get his name. Alex Takier gets a breakaway. Uh, very, very nice save. Very nice save to keep Buffalo hanging on in this game. Almost halfway through the second period, Josh Anderson with another breakaway. Man, the odd man rushes in this game were crazy. It was opening up all over the ice. Now, with a mess in front of the net, Montreal's net, you see one sneak past by Samuelsson. However, it ends up later getting credited to Greenway, assisted by Samuelsson. So he doesn't technically get the goal. But Buffalo's on the board at 13 minutes and 19 seconds of the second period, making it 2-1 Montreal. Kind of an uneventful, other than that, second period. Caufield gets a little bit of an opportunity closing in on the final minutes of the second period, but gets stoned there and pretty much wraps up the second period for the most part. With about 30 seconds left in the second, Buffalo really inching and squinching their way into trying to get that tying goal. They came close. They came close with a flurry again, but again, uneventful. Couldn't make it happen. Now, Dobish gets kind of bowled over a little bit in the third period, which would have PO'd me if I was a Habs fan, but I think that I saw a lot of controversy on why that wasn't a penalty, blah, blah, blah. Likely, my guess would be that there was a lot of embellishment on that. He flopped around like a fish out of water when he got bumped, right? Was it a good hit, but not enough to send him flip flopping around the way that he was. So I think that that's kind of why there was no call. Because if you call goaltender interference or whatever the case might be, you've got to call embellishment on that one too. That's just kind of my view on it. He flopped like crazy on that. Dahlin, like he has been doing this whole series, putting the Buffalo Sabres on his shoulders. 6 minutes at the 6 minute and 27-second mark. He ties the game, assisted by Owen Powers. Nice, clean little gets lost and sneaks in on the far side. Top cheddar. There you go. Gets past. So we've got 2-2 heading into overtime. So yeah, Rasmus Dahlin. 9:59 of the third period. However, we get a goal by Buffalo, waved off by none other than Wes McCauley, of course, right? Blew the whistle before it was a quick whistle, in my opinion. Kind of stiffed the Buffalo Sabres here, in my opinion. And this is like, I'm not a fan of Buffalo. I'm not a fan of Montreal. Like, I don't dislike them. I'm just saying I'm not biased in this. But just watching it from a non-biased, neutral perspective, that was a quick whistle, in my opinion, and it may have cost Buffalo this series. Just putting it out there. Hot takes, baby. Buffalo's defense a little bit lazy, closing in near the end of the third period. Josh Anderson just skates right through the middle of two defensemen and gets a breakaway, a partial breakaway anyway. Like, that was just some lazy defensive coverage in the playoffs. You can't do that, man. If that was a goal, man, that would have been terrible. Here we go. Game 7, elimination game, overtime. So Buffalo has some fantastic opportunities. Tage Thompson, for example, and so on. Unfortunately, a turnover at the blue line in the Montreal end leads to Newhook with a screenshot at 11:22 of overtime, putting the winner in. Buffalo Sabres eliminated from the playoffs, have not been here in a while, but I would say thank you, Buffalo, for a fantastic series. Very, very entertaining series, to say the least. And we go on to Montreal versus Carolina in the next round. And man, Carolina has been resting for like 11 days by the time they play Montreal. And they've just swept back-to-back series. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Carolina is in terms of readiness for the next round. Because you have two players on opposite ends of the spectrum here. You've got Montreal, who just went through another seven-game series, overtime, and they grinded it out, and they worked their butts off. And you've got Carolina, who've swept back-to-back series, and they've been sitting down, sitting on the sidelines. No doubt they've been practicing and stuff, but you can't keep that same level of compete up in practice that you do playing 7 games in a playoff series, right? So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Carolina, on paper, for me, is the early winner of this. I know a lot of people have the Cup final penciled in as Carolina versus Colorado, but we'll see what happens, guys. We'll see what happens, right? Anyway, Montreal advances to the next round. Congratulations to the Montreal Canadiens. Congratulations to the fans. Buffalo, thank you so much for an entertaining season. See you next year. Hopefully, you guys can continue on your push towards being a good, solid playoff contending team. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know what you guys think. Were you cheering for Buffalo? Were you cheering for Montreal? But more importantly, who's got the next round? Montreal or Carolina? See you later. God bless.